The all-new season of Futurama is streaming on Hulu.
That's great, but I have to warn you, it's completely brilliant.
The interplanetary hit is back.
The very survival of Earth is at stake.
Is everybody okay? Is anybody hurt?
Nobody's okay. Everybody's hurt.
Watch the all-new season of Futurama.
That's the best damn show I ever saw.
New episodes Mondays, streaming only on Hulu.
Welcome to the Sports Moment from the Washington Post, your ticket to the Summer Olympics. It is Monday, August 5th, and I'm Ava Wallace, a sports reporter here in Paris. Today, I'm joined once again by Post reporter Rick Maese, who covers a little bit of everything for us at the games. Good morning, Rick. How are you holding up?
Bonjour, Ava. I'm doing great and happy to be here.
I'm happy to hear that. Okay, first, let's do the medal table. So the United States and China are tied for first with 19 gold medals each. The United States also still leads in the overall medal count with 71, and China has 45. France and Australia are tied for second place with 12 gold medals each. Rick, last night you and I and three or four other reporters from the Post who all kind of crowded into the Stade de France saw one of the coolest things I've probably ever seen live, if not the coolest thing, when Noah Lyles won gold in the men's 100-meter race and defended his title as the world's fastest man, lived up to all this hype, all the trash talk that he had been participating in before. It was his first gold at the Olympics, and he came in third in Tokyo, so it was this huge defining moment for him. What was it like for you watching that race?
I mean, it was electric. The 100-meter is always like a marquee event at any Olympics, and you have Noah Lyles, who's this great showman, and he puts on a show. And last night, that's what we saw. The spotlight was on the stadium last night, and Noah Lyles came out, and you could just tell he was jacked up. He was excited to be there, and he made everyone else excited to be there. So, you know, the toughest part was just waiting for the starting gun to go off and for those guys to go. But everything about it, the lead up, the race itself, the photo finish, it just had all the components of just this super engaging, intriguing story, and he did it. He won, and he kind of completed his journey and kind of redeemed himself from winning bronze at Tokyo. And he's not done yet. He's got a couple more races here, and he is intent on making the Paris Games the Noah Lyles Games.
There was such an element of suspense last night. One, like you mentioned, they had to wait for a pretty long time before they actually got on the blocks. I don't know what happened there, but it's also like I've never watched an athlete truly so confident in himself before. And when they were running for that 9 seconds the whole time, I was just like biting my nails like, oh my God, you just came out here. And he was jumping up and down, whereas all the other sprinters, when they were introduced, were just kind of like waving, pointing. He was like beating his chest, and I was like, oh my gosh, Guy, you're putting so much pressure on yourself. But to actually watch him do it, like you said, in the finish that happened
He'd been waiting for this moment for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, Noah Lyles from Alexandria, we've been covering him at the Washington Post since, he was a teenager. Mm-hmm. I remember seeing him at the trials in 2016 when he missed the team. He finished fourth in trials. I think he was I think he was 0.9 of a second away from earning a spot to the Olympics. And his road has not been easy. From dealing with asthma as a child to kind of missing that team to really, he would say, having a disappointing
Mental
Tokyo
health.
Olympics.
Yeah.
And he kind of revealed some of the mental health struggles in the aftermath of that. So really, he's been waiting for that starting line. He's been waiting to show the world that not only is he okay, but he's the fastest man on the planet, and no one is going to beat him.
Yeah. Another thing that happened in track over the weekend is Sha'Carri Richardson finally got a medal. It wasn't the one that maybe she wanted. It was a silver medal, and that was because Julian Alfred from St. Lucia beat Richardson by 0.15 seconds, which is the biggest margin in the Olympic 100-meter race since 2008, to bring home the first medal of any color to a very small Caribbean island of St. Lucia. That was a really incredible moment there, just watching her celebrate. Okay, while we're on the topic of some gold medal winners, I also want to kind of wrap up what went on in the pool since the swimming ended yesterday. Swim meet finally came to a close after, 9 days? Is that?
I think it was closer to 100.
Yeah, closer to 100 days. That sounds good. The gold medal crown came down to the final event of the meet with the U.S. women's 4x100 relay squad, and that was Regan Smith, Lily King, Gretchen Walsh, and Tori Husk. They smashed the field. They broke the world record, kept Team USA on top over their bitter rivals, the Australians. Why did it even have to come down to this final event? That had never really happened before in the pool. The Americans have topped the gold medal chart in swimming every Olympics since 1992. We talked on an earlier episode about the USA-Australia rivalry. How did it play out over the course of the meet?
Yeah, it was kind of the question hanging over much of the meet is, could the U.S. maintain their spot at the top of the medals table at the pool? And really, it didn't look like they were going to be able to. There were so many races where the Americans maybe weren't making the finals or were settling for bronze or silver. It really looked like the Americans were underperforming in a lot of key events, and some of their biggest stars just weren't turning in the swims that we were used to seeing. People like Caleb Dressel, Lily King, some of the most familiar names, were kind of showing their age a little bit.
I always tend to think about, there's that thing, like if you talk to athletes, a lot of American athletes will say, well, Americans love winners. They love gold medals. I feel like I have to win a medal because it proves my worth in something. So I tend to sometimes think like, are we placing too much importance? But it does actually matter, and it is a measure of where the program is going and what our training is doing in the country.
It does, and those aren't just external expectations. Those are the internal expectations. That's what the swimmers expect, the coaches, everyone at USA Swimming. They expect to come here and reach the top of the podium, as many times as possible. And, no one's going to say this was a bad showing. I think they still had 28 medals, and the next closest was maybe Australia with 18. They did win the gold medal tally, but a lot of things were exposed, and I think USA Swimming is going back, and there's a lot of questions surrounding how they're going to get ready for LA and who's going to step in and fill some of these shoes. Now, there's still a lot of stars. Katie Ledecky won 4 medals here. She did everything we expected. 2 gold medals. Tori Husk won 5 medals, 3 golds. Reagan Smith won, I believe, 5 medals, though none of those were gold. So a ton of successes at the pool, but also a lot of questions being left out there.
Are there questions in particular among those who coach the men? All those names you just mentioned, those are women bringing in the gold.
No, you're exactly right. And the only men's gold was Bobby Fink on the very last day in the 1500, and he smashed the world record.
That was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's made up for all the struggles the men had, but it was certainly a special night for him. At every distance and every stroke, there's a lot of guys that need to somehow. USA Swimming's got to just find the talent, develop the talent, so they can have a better showing on that side in LA in 4 years.
Okay, after the break, we're going to catch up on some of the biggest moments from Sunday's competitions.
The all-new season of Futurama is streaming on Hulu.
That's great.
But I have to warn you, it's completely brilliant.
The interplanetary hit is back.
The very survival of Earth is at stake.
Is everybody okay? Is anybody hurt?
Nobody's okay. Everybody's hurt.
Watch the all-new season of Futurama.
That's the best damn show I ever saw.
New episodes Mondays, streaming only on Hulu.
At Ashley, you'll find colorful furniture that brings your home to life. Ashley makes it easier than ever to express your personal style with an array of looks in fun trending hues to choose from earth tones to vibrant colors to calming blues and greens. Ashley has pieces for every room in the house in the season's most sought-after shades. A more colorful life starts at Ashley. Shop in store or online today. Ashley, for the love of home.
Rick, you ended your day at track, very late day. Where did you start your day yesterday?
I started the golf tournament, which has kind of always been an afterthought. Golf wasn't on the Olympic program for, it was 1900, 1904, and then it disappeared and didn't reappear until 2016 in Rio. So, and when it did appear, the golfers weren't really into it. The fans weren't really into it. It wasn't a big deal. And so I was kind of curious to go out to the golf course yesterday and find out what's changed. It turns out everything has changed.
I feel like we're saying that every day here at this Olympics. I'm like, this is so different than in Tokyo. Yeah.
There was some 20,000 people around the golf course. They were packed several people deep, and it had that kind of atmosphere of not quite a Ryder Cup level or a Euro soccer match, but it was loud, it was boisterous, and it was a lot of fun. There was chanting and flags waving, and both the fans were into it and the players were into it. And it just really was I think Rory McIlroy called it like a coming out party for Olympic golf.
And what happened at the end? I remember when I left for track, John Rahm was still pretty comfortably in the lead, and he did not end up winning.
Yeah, he was at the turn. He was up by 4 strokes, and then a couple bogeys here, and then a few birdies on the other end, and the leaderboard just totally shuffled in the back nine. Scotty Scheffler ended up posting a 62 and just stormed from behind to win the thing. He won it by 1 stroke over Tommy Fleetwood, who took silver, and Hideki Matsuyama took the bronze there.
And Scheffler, that's the American who's had a really incredible year in golf. It's been awesome watching him.
Oh, it's just been magical. I mean, he won the Masters. He defended his title at the Players' Championship. And, everyone's still trying to debate how important is the Olympic medal. Watching him on the medal stand, you can tell it was important to him. The anthem was playing. He was mouthing the words, and you could just see his eyes were welling up. And it was the first time all day that he kind of wasn't in control of something. And he just started crying and had to wipe his face up there on the medal stand to wipe the tears away. And it was emotional, and it was impossible to watch that and not be affected a little bit. So it feels like golf is going to be something we're going to have to pay attention to every 4 years now.
It's funny that you mentioned that. I feel like it's the exact same way in the tennis tournament. And yesterday, Novak Djokovic, of course, the Serbian who has 24 Grand Slam titles already, became the 5th player to win. Some people are calling it a Golden Slam. That's actually not true. A Golden Slam is winning all 4 titles in the majors and an Olympic gold in the same year. Novak Djokovic did not do that, but he now has all kind of 5 of those titles. He's the 5th person to ever do that after Andre Agassi, Steffi Graf, Rafael Nadal, and Serena Williams. And it was the exact same thing than what you were just talking about, Rick, where everyone's kind of like, how much does tennis matter at the Olympics? Novak Djokovic had made it very, very clear that pretty much the only thing left he had to do on his resume was win Olympic gold. And he did it in pretty spectacular fashion, beating Carlos Alcaraz, who had just bested him last month in the Wimbledon final. And he was like, it was the same thing as Scheffler. He was sobbing afterwards. He was on his knees on the red clay at Roland Garros. It was a really interesting scene. In a little bit less dramatic fashion, the U.S. women's basketball team rolled on. No surprise there. They are going for their 8th straight gold medal, and they will play a quarterfinal against Nigeria on Wednesday when the games finally move to Paris. Men's basketball goes first, and those quarterfinals are tomorrow, Tuesday. I feel like I'm just walking home after events or walking around this city, and I think of colleagues like our colleague Chuck Culpepper, who kind of talks about old Olympics. He talks to me a lot about Barcelona and how iconic that games were. And I kind of started thinking like, I think we're going to talk about these Paris Olympics the way Chuck talks about Barcelona. They're shaping up to be pretty iconic so far, is what, to use a word that has been overused a lot lately.
Yeah, I mean, what you want is a good experience, but also memorable athletic achievements. And I think we're getting those across many sports. Simone Biles, Katie Ledecky, Noah Lyles. These are things that we're going to talk about for a long time. I mean, for me, I think back to like the 2008 Olympics, where Usain Bolt had his coming out party and won both the 100 and 200. Michael Phelps won 8 gold medals. You remember these amazing human achievements. And I think that's how we're going to kind of reflect on the Paris Games. Simone Biles, 27 years old, still doing what she's doing. Noah Lyles, also 27. Katie Ledecky, also 27. And they're all at the top of their game still. So I think you're right. This is going to be something we're going to talk about. We're going to remember. And it's kind of setting a bar for the LA Games 4 years from now.
Yeah, it does. It does feel like that's a conversation that everyone's having lately, where it's like, man, LA, good luck following up this one. But, if anyone can do glitz and glamour and over the top.
As long as they got some wine and sidewalk cafes, I think we'll be all right,
They
Ava.
have that in LA, right? A really good working metro wine and sidewalk
Some
cafes.
baguettes.
That's what they're known for, I think. Yeah, good. That is, of course, not to say that these games have not been without controversy or hiccups at all. The latest thing this morning is that the mixed gender triathlon race is running, but not everyone is participating. The Belgian team pulled out after they had an athlete fall ill. While they didn't really directly connect their athlete's sickness with running the triathlon earlier in the week in the Seine, where people have been kind of fearing that athletes get bacterial infections and fall sick with E. coli. The Belgian officials did call out how organizers had prepared the Seine for this race. They are running it again today, so I'm interested to see what kind of happens there. But that was just the latest controversy.
Yeah, they're really putting those athletes in a tough spot, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to bail out in the Olympics. They worked their whole lives for this.
Someone else is going to swim behind them if they don't.
Yeah, and it's in the back of their head. Like there's a plan B in place, and someone probably should have thought a little bit more about, hey, maybe it's time to think about another way to do this event.
Yeah, so that's just the latest thing we're keeping an eye on. But Rick, I will let you get out to track. I know you've got another early morning and another late night ahead of you. So thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us in between all of those things.
Ava, the Olympics are a marathon, not a sprint, but I'm happy to be here.
Rick Maese is a sports features reporter for The Post. Before we go today, here are a couple of events worth checking out. And just to note, all of these times are in Eastern Time as usual. So in track and field, medals will be awarded in a session that begins at 12:30. 4 medals are going to be awarded today, and that includes the men's pole vault final. That's the event that stars the Swedish-American pole vaulter Mondo Duplantis, always worth giving a look. In 3x3 women's basketball, the United States, Spain, Germany, and Canada all play for medals in games beginning at 3 p.m. And in surfing, medals are awarded in a session that begins at 3:24 p.m. on the dot. That's it for today on The Sports Moment. If you want more up-to-date information about the latest news from Paris, you should also subscribe to my newsletter, which is also called The Sports Moment. You can find a link to that in our show notes. Today's episode was produced and mixed by Ted Muldoon. It was edited by Joe Tone. I'm Ava Wallace. Until next time from Paris.
At Ashley, you'll find colorful furniture that brings your home to life. Ashley makes it easier than ever to express your personal style with an array of looks in fun trending hues to choose from earth tones to vibrant colors to calming blues and greens. Ashley has pieces for every room in the house in the season's most sought-after shades. A more colorful life starts at Ashley. Shop in store or online today. Ashley, for the love of home.